Hi everyone, welcome to my first IGTV video. I'm trying something new and different, so let's see how this goes. I've chosen my first video to talk about why religion and spirituality aren't different. And I think in the West, we tend to look at them as separate, but really, religion and spirituality are not different. Religion is actually supposed to lead us to spirituality. And I think what's happening in our world today is we've become really passive and lazy spiritual beings. We tend to accept whatever anyone else is telling us instead of going within and finding out for ourselves. And so what's happening is that we're starting to develop this blind faith in religion, and we can't see that religion is actually a road or a path to spirituality, which takes us inward. And religion, actually, the word religion means to bind with the origin, and we are divine selves. So the origin is we are the origin. And so this path is supposed to ultimately lead us to look within ourselves, deeper, to inquire within our minds, to really go inside of ourselves to find out what those blockages are that are keeping us from discovering who we really are, our true nature, which is part of the divine consciousness. And so this is really being held back in terms of even people who are sort of sharing this religious knowledge. Maybe they themselves are not practicing these philosophies or these things that they're sharing in the world. And so what's happening is this disconnect from what we're being told to the actual experiential knowledge that religion is supposed to lead us to. And so, I want to say to really get people to think about, how are you practicing religion? Because I think it's become sort of this blind faith. And what we need to do to sort of shift that amongst in ourselves is to really think about what you're reading and what you're taking in and what this knowledge is teaching you. And when you're reading it or when you're learning it, to really let it digest, reflect on it, contemplate on it. Think about, how does this apply in my life? Like, how does this make sense for me to use in my everyday life? And then really sit with it and try to implement it in your life and see how it works. Experiment with it. Does this apply or does this not apply? And that's really how we grow spiritually, is to constantly do that inner work. And I feel like that's just really missing in our world today. And part of that, yes, it is meditation, which takes us into our consciousness, that helps us to realize what is preventing us from realizing the truth within ourselves. And this is really what religion teaches us. It takes us everything that this philosophy, no matter what religion that you practice or whatever your beliefs are, every religion ultimately leads us to ourselves, to within ourselves. And I grew up Hindu, and it wasn't until, and I grew up in the West, so in the US, and it would always be so funny to me when people would say, oh, religion has nothing to do with spirituality. And I was always confused about that, because I never really understood what that meant. Because growing up in a religion that everything that we do, whether it's rituals or it's pujas, it's pilgrimages, everything that we do, it's supposed to ultimately lead us back to ourselves. And so I found this very confusing growing up in the West. And so I think that as I grew older, I understood that every religion, whatever the message is, it's to help us to come back, to explore the depths of our mind, and to really connect with a higher consciousness. And so I think that's getting lost, and a lot of people aren't seeing that, because we've really fallen into this passivity of just accepting whatever anybody is telling us. And so really what our responsibility is to take what we're learning, taking that knowledge and applying it to ourselves and really seeing, okay, how does this apply to me in my life? And how is it making me a better person? How is it helping me to connect with a higher consciousness? Because ultimately, all of us, every single one of us, has that power to realize the truth in ourselves. We are all divine beings. And so we really need to sort of take back that power inside of us and be like, okay, I'm learning this because ultimately I'm going to be using it for myself and to really get rid of whatever is preventing me from realizing that I am a divine being. Okay, thank you for listening. If you've stayed with me this long, I appreciate it.